下の騎親族族長のラグナロクよ。ここがあの子が所属している部隊だね。この私に本気を出させて後悔させてあげましょう。
What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Hardcorn, and today we're going to be taking a look at our latest addition to Action Taimanin, Ragnarok. We're going to see how she plays, and if she's going to be worth your gems or not. Now, a little background on our assist demon type here, Ragnarok. Her actual name is Sinmara, and the Ragnarok part is more of a title for those who have led the Frost Phantoms. She is Kiara's mother, and the resemblance is truly striking. Though it doesn't seem that Icy Hot Jr. here didn't inherit the chilling gaze of her mother. Ragnarok also leads a specific set of Frost Phantoms in her gang called Banshee. Now, you don't want to be one of those sad saps who gets frozen and shattered by Ragnarok, do ya? How about you get on her good side by liking and subscribing so you don't get run up on? Now let's take a look at some of her stats. In terms of stats, Ragnarok has a middle-of-the-road growth curve for a modern character. This is most likely to offset her incredible strength with her freeze abilities. We'll have up on screen 1, 75, and 81, so you can see what the growth looks like and how regular it really is. For weapons, she shares with Ingrid, so if you have her gear built for her, you're already ahead of the curve. Ragnarok has her own package-specific weapon and also her gacha signature. Lavatane is her thematic weapon she uses normally and comes at a premium of getting the character package. It's 100% not worth getting this package, even though the weapon is quite strong. It's only the single copy, so you must use Demonite. Elivagar is also okay at best. It's a permanent, so you can also let it spook you during something else. The age-old Sheep Ingrid combo of Blue Lightsaber and Arena Weapon still hold to this day. You won't miss a thing with Ragnarok's weapons. Now let's take a look at some of her costumes. To start off, we've got her default Frost Phantom Queen, her Desire Shop one, New Year Ragnarok, Nurse outfit, the bathrobe. Her rival outfit is her daughter, Kiara, her Secret Garden costume, and her lingerie outfit, Moonless Sky. Now for her affinity, at level 5 she has a 10% item drop boost, level 10, 10% item drop boost, level 15, AP plus 10, and at level 20, 5% more arena coins. Now we move on to her skills. First off, I need to explain a little bit about what Freeze actually is. Freeze is a debuff first introduced with Kiara, and has been a call effect on supporters ever since. Freeze immobilizes the enemies for 5 seconds or until they're struck. When you strike a frozen enemy, they take 30% more damage. This is typically called shattering. For the longest time, this debuff strength is limited to a single character and supports. Even on Kiara, it takes effort to chain the freeze and shatter. The strength of it is balanced by the time and effort required to apply and maintain it. Ragnarok doesn't care about that one bit. You call her Sushi because she is totally ice cold and raw with the way she inflicts freeze. This is her passive, Frost Phantom. It does 20% more damage to frozen enemies, and you heal 0.5% of max HP when you attack a frozen one. The freeze when applied to an enemy is more or less defense down. Her attack and freeze boost is not the same, nor will it be additive. She's already strong enough. She also has no healing because of this passive. We will see why soon enough. One other thing to note is that a big aspect of Ragnarok is how her animations will take a while. Dare I say they are glacial in some cases. Freezing an enemy from a distance helps keep her safe while getting them off, not to mention her many sources of speed boost. But for starters, we're going to go with Phantom Swordsmanship Frostbite. This is her speed Taimanin art. Not only does it make her slow basic attack string that much faster, it adds in a follow-up hit. It's essentially the classic attack doubler with speed, just like so many before her. She really wants this, but if you're going into red, it becomes redundant. This is melee only too, so you have to get in close to use this. Over here to Frosty Gale, Aura Farming Mom fires off a series of sword beams on activation. These beams work like any other projectile, except these beams freeze on hit. She fires them off, they pierce, so they can freeze crowds in a straight line. Each projectile after the first will shatter the freeze and then reapply it. This skill, along with Cold Tempest and Snowstorm, are redundancies in each color to give her an option for crowd control and damage. Over here to Phantom Swordsmanship, Ice Wave is her power Taimanin art, where her damage is boosted, but maintains the same animations as the basic string. The slow pace outside of red is offset that she fires projectiles on her basic string, just like Nagi and Asuka do. A common situation is having to wait for her cooldowns to finish up to start the cycle again. This allows her to poke from range and kite an enemy. It hits hard but glacially slow. Wants all those speed boosts real bad. Or you just freeze them. Over on the Cold Tempest now. This is a great utility skill. On usage, she zooms to the target, strikes, and it does a multi-hit AoE to freeze a group solid. Now it's wonderful stuff. It's so very safe and provides a speed boost with critical damage built in. It's a lovely skill in a one-on-one scenario, same with Frosty Gale. Great to reposition, deal damage, to buff. You can take this with no colors just for the sheer utility. It is part of the Color Crowd Control Redundancy series. Next up's Freezing Slash. This skill is inherently designed to be one of her more spammable ones with a low cooldown, powerful buffs, and effects. It falls short of the mark though by having her jump in the air, wait a moment, and then bring the slash series down. This is a me thing essentially, but I like it when the dodge attack prompt skills are very fast. That little hesitation takes the oomph out of the attack, but it does make up for it with having strong, long-lasting buffs with a multi-hit attack. Now this is Icicle Zone. On an extreme dodge, she drops an ice crystal that has several aspects. It constantly freezes at the location. It can also shatter and then refreeze the enemy. This is especially strong in Arena since it's a fixed plane and the enemies will keep getting caught in it. It's also great for Total War if Ragnarok can get an extreme dodge off to hold the enemy in place. To top it all off, she can also get very powerful speed and damage buffs with this skill, all on a decent cooldown. Now this one's a real favorite of mine. This is Snowstorm. I'm just gonna say it, this is one of the strongest and most devastating skills in the game. On cast, Ragnarok drops a huge ice field in front of her as icicles rain from the sky. If an enemy is in the AoE of the skill, they will constantly be frozen and shattered for the entire duration of the skill. This skill absolutely feeds into her passive as it's so many hits on frozen enemies for healing and damage. You can't forget to mention the immense particle gain from the many small hits. It's super duper good. Now to follow up that, it's Frostwind. Ragnarok fires off a stream of little icicles. This is primarily used as filler and keeping her buffed or the enemy debuffed, similar to the situation as Freezing Slash. However, you don't have the crummy feel of the slash and can apply damage at a distance, not to mention the stronger buffs and debuffs. You can even use Slash and Wind together as their buffs stack. Now we got Freezing Spear over here. On paper, this skill is just a rotating block of ice that's gonna miss a lot. In reality, this thing is a menace. It can be spammed all the time while kiting enemies. Due to Arena being a fixed plane and characters dodging all the time, this skill takes names all day. Most importantly, using Freezing Spear during Snowstorm is a hugely damaging combo. This is due to Snowstorm constantly freezing, Spear shattering, and then being frozen again. Not a lot survives, and if they do, you can just hold them down because Spear is going to be up again. And finally, we've reached absolute zero. This shares an input with Snowstorm, but also has other color benefits. Primarily, this skill is used to aid in your escape while also doing damage. This is due to the skill dealing 4 hits and leaving the enemy frozen at the end of it. This way you can reposition and get your skills reset. It really shines in red as the buff for speed lasts longer than the skill cooldown. It's super great for maintaining it. And now, with those skills out of the way, let's see how she does in a real setting. Alright, now that we've talked about her and seen her in action, let's come to conclusions about this Ice Queen. For starters, her sharing with Ingrid makes it so that many players will have a massive power spike, starting with Ragnarok. Even for newbies, you can't go wrong with Ragna, as she's able to heal herself and lock down enemies. This allows for punching even higher than you're supposed to. Like, you can use total crap with her, and she'll still win because of her oppressive usage of freeze. Speaking of freeze, she uses the concept of it extremely well. Just the fact that she can chain freeze and get a damage boost against frozen enemies is absolutely incredible. The rarity of freeze since its introduction, and now its application with Ragnarok, show that power creep has really come a long way. Because how do we take a strong, unique debuff and make it work with someone who's supposed to be on par with Astaroth? You make it so that she can inflict it over and over again, creating a cold hell that would make Cocytus look like Florida in the summer. Not to mention that her character-specific limited supporter actually synergizes really well with her. It's a supreme rarity. Even what seems like a pure smooth sheet of ice has its problems under the surface. She's the Ingrid Spellsword set, but fully realized, though she doesn't get to keep all of Ingrid's speed. Ragnarok has several skills in red that apply a 20% speed buff with a 10-second duration. This means they don't stack, but refresh themselves. That's great. Then you get to other sets and she doesn't have said buff in her kit. She has lots of long animations that are not armored, unless you have that limited supporter of course. Though this is remedied by the fact that she can freeze huge groups of enemies. Because of this, even if she gets interrupted during a skill, the enemy will still be frozen. Staggering your freezing skills is paramount, so you can actually keep the enemy completely oppressed. But the question still remains, is Ragnarok going to be worth your gems? Now, if it wasn't obvious enough already, yes she is. This is like a Rin situation where if you get her as the second character you pick from the start of the game, you're going to be fine for a very long time. Freeze is useful everywhere, and having healing based around it makes a vicious cycle that actually benefits you. Thanks to her sharing with Ingrid, you now have access to another powerhouse character with simple, straightforward gearing. Pushing the power creep envelope is Ragnarok, and you can't go wrong with her. It's honestly quite incredible. Thank you for coming by and learning about Ragnarok. Don't forget to like, comment, rate, favorite, and subscribe, and let me know down below what you thought about her and if you're going to be picking her up. And as always, I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.